Evening. Sorry to bother you. We got a noise complaint coming from this unit. What's going on in here?
We're having dinner, officer. Nothing loud, just the television.
Folks downstairs said they heard shouting, maybe music. You sure it wasn't you?
We haven't been loud.
On Saturday, October 14th, 2023, at approximately 7:42 p.m., a patrol officer responds to what is logged as a routine noise complaint at a multi-unit residential building. The Bodycam timestamp appears in the upper right corner of the frame, white text against dim hallway lighting. What follows lasts less than 5 minutes. No report is filed, no arrest is made, and no record of the encounter officially exists. The camera moves with the officer's stride down a narrow corridor. The walls are beige, showing years of wear. Fluorescent fixtures overhead, one flickering intermittently. The carpet beneath is patterned in browns and oranges, visibly aged. Each step produces a slight vertical bounce in the frame, typical of chest-mounted recording equipment. Audio is clear. Radio static crackles at irregular intervals. The officer's breathing is audible but steady. Behind closed doors, the muffled sounds of evening life, a television playing, conversation, a child crying somewhere down the hall. Standard ambient noise for a residential building at this hour. The officer's hand enters frame briefly, holding a small notepad. The camera tilts downward as he appears to check something written there, then rights itself as he continues forward. He stops at a door marked 3B. The number is mounted at eye level in brass-colored metal. The door itself is black, paint chipped near the handle from repeated use. He knocks 3 times, firm, deliberate. Several seconds pass. No response is audible from inside. The officer's hand reaches forward. The camera captures him turning the doorknob. There is no resistance. The door is unlocked. Without announcing himself again or waiting for consent, it opens inward. He steps inside. The interior of the apartment comes into full view. A dining table directly ahead, maybe 12 feet from the entrance. 4 people are seated around it, plates of food in front of each person. Steam rises from a dish in the center. A young girl, approximately 8 years old, is mid-bite, fork raised to her mouth. An older girl, late teens, has a glass of water in hand. A woman sits across from them, napkin in lap. A man at the head of the table is cutting something on his plate. All 4 turn toward the door simultaneously. The movement is sudden. The surprise is visible in their faces. Forks pause. Conversation stops. The television plays softly in the background, a sitcom with canned laughter. The officer states he's responding to a noise complaint for this unit. The man at the table sets down his knife. His expression shifts from surprise to confusion. He repeats the words, noise complaint. His tone is questioning, not defensive. The officer confirms, excessive noise, disturbance. The man glances at his family, then back at the officer standing in his doorway. He states they're just having dinner. They haven't been making any noise. The officer responds that someone called it in. The woman leans forward slightly in her chair, still holding her napkin. She states they've been home all evening, no music, nothing loud. She asks if he's certain he has the right apartment. The officer takes another step inside, moving past the threshold. The camera angle now captures the full dining area and part of the living room beyond. His boot is visible in the lower frame. He's fully inside the apartment now. He confirms the unit number. This is 3B. The woman begins to suggest that perhaps there's been a mistake. Maybe he should check. He interrupts. He's responding to a call for this address. There's a pause. No one at the table moves. The younger child has lowered her fork. It rests on the edge of her plate. She's staring at the officer. He states he's going to need everyone to stay seated while he sorts this out. The man responds, with a slight edge now, that they are seated, they're eating dinner. The officer acknowledges he can see that. His tone is unchanged, steady, firm, official. Another pause. The television continues in the background. The laugh track plays. Someone on screen says something meant to be funny. The contrast is sharp. The officer states he's going to need to see some identification. The man's brow furrows. He asks, "What for? Identification for what?" "To verify who's living here," the officer responds. The woman's voice rises slightly. She states they live here. This is their home. The officer's posture doesn't shift. He understands that, he says. He still needs to see identification. The 18-year-old sets down her glass. She leans forward, beginning to ask her father what's happening. The officer immediately addresses her, instructing her to remain seated. She stops. Her mouth closes mid-word. She looks at her father, then back at the officer. The redirection is immediate. The younger child's hands move from the table to her lap. She sits very still now, no longer touching her food. The man suggests again that the officer should double-check the unit number. Maybe it's a different apartment. Maybe this is a mistake. The officer states he has the unit number. The woman's voice is firmer now, "But we haven't done anything wrong," she says. The officer responds that he's not saying they did. He's investigating a complaint. What complaint? What noise specifically? Excessive noise, the officer repeats. What kind of noise? The man presses. That's what he's here to determine, the officer states. The exchange is notable for its repetition. The same questions, the same non-answers. The conversation circles without forward movement. The officer shifts his weight. His hand moves to his belt, resting near his radio. The camera captures the movement clearly. It's subtle but deliberate, a repositioning that reinforces his presence in the space. He states again, more firmly now, that he's going to need that identification. If you're finding this analysis informative, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment where in the world you're watching from. Now, back to the footage. The woman's tone tightens. She asks why identification is necessary if they haven't done anything. "Because he's conducting an investigation," the officer replies. "Into what?" the man asks. "Into the noise complaint," the officer states. "But there is no noise," the man says. "There hasn't been any noise." The officer does not respond immediately. His gaze moves across the room. The camera tracks his line of sight, panning slowly. The dining table, the plates, the children, the living room beyond, a couch with throw pillows, a television mounted on the wall, framed family photos on a shelf. Ordinary, domestic, quiet. The officer states he's going to need them to cooperate. The man responds, with restrained frustration now, that they are cooperating. They're sitting here, talking to him. They've answered his questions. "Then get me your IDs," the officer says. There's a long pause. The man exhales, audible even over the ambient sound. Not quite a sigh, just a breath held and released. He says, "All right, just give him a second." He pushes his chair back. The scrape of wood against floor is loud in the quiet. He stands and walks toward a side table near the entrance, just a few feet from where the officer is standing. The camera tracks his movement. He opens a drawer. The woman remains seated, arms now crossed tightly across her chest. The officer's breathing is audible in the silence, steady, measured. The younger daughter speaks for the first time. Her voice is barely above a whisper. "Mommy," she says. The mother tells her, "It's okay, baby." But the words lack conviction. The reassurance is hollow. The man returns holding a wallet. He extracts a driver's license and extends it toward the officer. The officer takes it, examines it closely, looks up at the man, then back down at the license. He asks if this is the current address. "Yes," the man confirms. "How long have you lived here?" 3 years. "Anyone else live here besides the 4 of you?" "No, just us." The officer continues studying the license. Several seconds pass. Then he reaches for his radio, keying the microphone. "Dispatch," he says, "I'm at the location. Can you confirm the unit number on that noise complaint?" Static crackles. Then a voice comes through. "Unit number was 3D, 3 Delta." There's a pause, longer than any silence before it. The officer looks toward the door, still open behind him, at the number 3B mounted on the frame in brass. He says nothing. The man, still standing, asks if dispatch just said 3D. The officer extends the license back to him. Yeah, he confirms. So we're 3B, the man states, not 3D. I can see that, the officer replies. Another pause. No one moves. The woman's arms remain crossed. The man is holding his license, not yet putting it away. The children are motionless. The woman asks, her voice controlled but pointed, if that's it then. The officer takes a step backward, toward the still open door. The movement is captured clearly. There is no apology, no acknowledgement that he entered the wrong home, questioned the wrong family, demanded identification without cause. He states he was just doing his job, then adds, "Keep it down in here anyway." He turns and steps back into the hallway. The camera swings with his movement. The same corridor, the same worn carpet, the same flickering light overhead. Behind him, the door to apartment 3B remains open for a moment. The family is visible in frame, still seated at the table, frozen. Then the man moves toward the door. It closes slowly. The soft click is audible. The officer walks down the corridor at the same measured pace as before. Radio chatter continues intermittently. He does not call back to dispatch. He does not stop at apartment 3D. He does not alter his route or acknowledge the error. The footage continues for another 10 seconds as he exits the building. Then the recording ends. No incident report was filed. No documentation was entered into departmental records. No supervisor was notified of the encounter. No follow-up contact was made with the occupants of apartment 3B. The interaction does not appear in any official log. The encounter lasted approximately 4 minutes. In that time, a family seated at their dining table in their own home became subjects of a police investigation. The officer entered without invitation. The door was unlocked, but no permission was given. No exigent circumstances were present. No sounds of disturbance, no visible threat, no legal justification to cross the threshold. Yet he did. And once inside, the family was questioned, told to remain seated, though they were already seated, asked for identification, though they had committed no crime, violated no law, created no disturbance. The logic of the encounter was circular. The authority was assumed. The compliance was expected. There was no apology issued, no acknowledgement that the wrong apartment had been entered, the wrong family interrogated, the wrong home treated as a site of investigation. Instead, the final words were an instruction: keep it down anyway, as if the error itself justified suspicion, as if being questioned proved something, even when nothing was found.
The youngest child asked if they were in trouble. The Bodycam does not record the answer given after the door finally closed, but the question itself reflects an understanding already forming, that doors can be opened without permission, that authority does not require reason, that being home, being peaceful, being innocent, none of that prevents intrusion. The family sat in silence after the officer left. The footage does not capture what was said in those moments. It does not record the conversation that followed, or the unease that settled over a meal interrupted, a home entered, a family made to justify its existence in its own space. What remains is the recording, the knock, the unlocked door opened without consent, the questions, the circling logic, the identification demanded, the dispatch correction, the exit without acknowledgement or apology. All of it captured, none of it documented. The encounter dissolved into the ordinary operations of an evening shift. Another call, another building, another door. For the officer, routine. For the family, something else entirely. How many times does this happen? How many doors are opened without permission? How many homes are entered in error? How many families are made to prove they belong in their own living rooms? And how many of those encounters simply vanish, unreported, unexamined, unaccountable? The footage offers no answer. It simply ends. The timestamp freezes. The file is stored. unwatched, unremarked upon. But for the family eating dinner in apartment 3B, the memory does not end with the footage. It remains, not as data, but as violation, not as documentation, but as the moment they learned that being home is not sanctuary, that locked doors do not guarantee privacy, that innocence is not protection. And there is no one to call when the intrusion is the system itself. If this analysis resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel. There are thousands of hours of footage like this. Most of it will never be reviewed, but some of it should be seen. Thank you for watching.